My brother got married last weekend. I found out because the photos hit my screen before he ever said a word. No call, no invite, just his face under string lights beside a woman who barely knows my name. When I finally reached him, she grabbed the phone and said it clear enough for him to hide behind. "My wife doesn't want you there. She thinks you're pathetic." He didn't defend me. He didn't even breathe. I didn't cry or plead. I stepped back, took one long look at the life I'd built for him, and made a single decision that rewrote theirs completely. Before I go on, where are you listening from? And tell me, in my place, what would you have done? My name is Emma Carson, and for most of my life, I believed loyalty could hold a family together. I learned that the hard way at 23, standing in a hospital hallway signing papers I wasn't ready to sign, while my 14-year-old brother Luke sobbed into my coat. Our mother, Linda, was gone before either of us understood how suddenly a life can disappear. In that moment, something inside me shifted. I wasn't just his older sister anymore. I became the person who figured things out, who paid the bills, who made sure he didn't get swallowed by grief. I kept that role for 15 years. While my friends chased careers and apartments in trendier parts of Austin, I took shifts wherever I could. Office temp work during the day, event staffing at night, freelance marketing projects in between. Luke had school textbooks, college applications. He had robotics club fees and senior trips and a dorm room that needed furnishing. I covered all of it, not because anyone asked me to, but because I couldn't watch him fall through the cracks our mother's death had opened. When Luke started college, I bought a small loft in the East Austin district under my name. I told him it was for convenience, but really it was to give him stability, something I knew too well he couldn't build alone yet. I also put away money for the Europe trip he always talked about taking after graduation, little transfers tucked into a travel fund until it reached $35,000. He used to joke that when he was an engineer, he'd pay me back with interest. I laughed it off. Family doesn't keep score. At least, that's what I thought. The strange thing is, people assume betrayal hits like a sudden blow. In my case, it came as a slow ache I couldn't name at first. Months before the wedding, Luke called less. Messages got shorter. He started saying things like, "I've got it handled," or "You don't have to worry about me anymore," in a tone that suggested my concern annoyed him. When he introduced me to his girlfriend, Sophie, I noticed the way she looked me up and down like she was cataloging me. A measuring glance, not a friendly one. She was an influencer. Bright smile, curated outfits, always thinking about angles and lighting. Luke seemed dazzled by her confidence. I didn't mind. People evolve. Brothers fall in love. That's normal. But I could feel something shifting. The way conversations got shorter or were postponed. The way Sophie's voice lingered too close to the phone whenever I called. Still, I never imagined I'd be erased. Not until that morning when I opened my screen and saw wedding photos, my brother in a suit I didn't know he bought, beside a woman wearing a dress I'd never seen, under lights I'd never been invited to stand beneath. A ceremony that happened without a text, without a call, without even a lie to soften the blow. I stared at those pictures and felt something familiar and heavy settle in my chest. The same weight I had in that hospital hallway years ago. Only this time, it wasn't grief that hit me. It was realization. The family I thought I'd held together had quietly cut me out. The moment I saw those wedding photos, my first instinct wasn't anger. It was denial. Quiet, desperate denial that made me think there had to be a mistake. Maybe it was a styled shoot. Maybe it was an engagement party mislabeled by someone online. Maybe Luke would text any second with some frantic explanation about last-minute plans and miscommunication. I kept telling myself that as I called him once, twice, 5 times. On the 6th call, the ring didn't even echo. It went straight to voicemail, his recorded voice cheerfully asking me to leave a message. A voice I had listened to, edited, and re-recorded with him back when he couldn't pronounce the word availability without laughing. By the 7th attempt, something icy began tightening around my ribs. Not panic, recognition. Someone was avoiding me. I tried texting him, "Luke, call me." Then I saw the photos. "Just tell me what's going on." No answer. When my phone finally lit up with an incoming call, I exhaled too quickly. Relief, fear, all tangled. I swiped to answer, but it wasn't Luke's voice I heard. Well, it's about time, Sophie said. Her tone wasn't surprised, it was bored, as if she'd been expecting this moment, almost looking forward to it. I need to talk to my brother, I said. Put him on. A pause, a small laugh, low and sharp. He's busy. We just got back from the reception. It was perfect, actually.
The words sliced clean through my chest. I wasn't invited, I said, trying to keep my voice level. That's the point, she replied. My wife doesn't want you there. She thinks you're pathetic. For a moment, I didn't hear anything. Not her breathing, not my own. Just a long, thin silence expanding inside my skull. Pathetic. I gripped the phone tighter. Did Luke say that? He doesn't need to, she said. He agrees. In the background, I heard his voice, muffled, hesitant. Sophie, just give me the phone. No, she snapped, louder now, making sure I heard. She needs to understand. We're adults. We don't need her controlling everything anymore. Controlling? Of all the words she could have chosen, that one lit something hot behind my eyes. I paid for the loft you're standing in, I said, calm in a way that scared even me. I bought his furniture. I covered his tuition. The travel fund you're probably planning to spend, I built that for him. Tell me where the control is in giving someone their entire life. She scoffed. Exactly. You use money to keep him tied to you. It's embarrassing. But don't worry, we'll be paying for everything ourselves. We're not living under your shadow. Let me talk to him, I repeated. Finally, Luke's voice came through, shaky. Emma, it's just, we didn't want drama. Drama? I echoed. From me? You make things heavy, he whispered. Sophie's right. I need space. We need space. And you hovering doesn't help. I closed my eyes. 15 years of sacrifices flickered behind my eyelids like slides from a projector. Late-night jobs, tuition bills, meals I skipped so he wouldn't have to. All of it dismissed in seconds. Sophie spoke again, triumphant. There, you heard him. Just accept it and move on. The call disconnected. I sat still, phone in hand, feeling the slow burn rise from my stomach up to my throat. Shame, betrayal, grief, all mixing into something sharper. I could have stayed frozen. I could have cried. Instead, I stood, grabbed my keys, and drove to the loft I had bought, the one they were honeymooning from, emotionally while cutting me out. When I got there, the hallway was quiet, echoing every footstep. I knocked. Sophie opened the door just enough for her face to be visible, smirking like she'd been waiting. Really? You actually came? I'm here to talk to my brother. She leaned forward, phone angled toward me like a weapon. Whatever you have to say, you can say it right here. I stood there for a moment, my hand resting on the doorframe, as Sophie's smirk deepened. The phone in her hand hovered between us like a shield, ready to capture any word I said. I felt a flicker of uncertainty, but it passed. I wasn't here for her. I wasn't here to beg for any explanation. I was here to speak to Luke. She didn't step aside. Come on, Emma. What could you possibly want to say to him now? You've already gotten everything you wanted, haven't you? Money, control, all of it. And now you're here to ruin the last bit of peace we have? My heart tightened, but I didn't let her words move me. I'm here to talk to Luke, I repeated, calm but firm. She exhaled sharply, stepping aside just enough for me to pass. The loft was empty, eerily quiet, just like I remembered it when I first bought it, before Luke moved in. The soft hum of the refrigerator was the only sound. The rest of the space seemed hollow. My feet moved toward the living room, where Luke was sitting on the couch, his hands hanging loosely by his sides. He looked like a ghost of the person I used to know. His hair, once so carefully styled, was now a little messy, his eyes red-shot. His suit jacket lay discarded on the armrest. He didn't even look up when I walked in. I stood there for a moment, unsure of what I was expecting. An apology? An explanation? Or just the truth I was too scared to hear? "Luke," I said, softer now, "what happened to us?" He didn't answer at first, but I saw him swallow hard, his eyes darting briefly to the floor before finally meeting mine. There was a flicker of recognition, but nothing else. His voice was barely above a whisper. "I didn't want any of this to happen, Em." He paused, glancing over at Sophie, who had followed me in but stood by the doorway, arms crossed.
Sophie, she just doesn't understand. She doesn't get what you've done for me. I felt a sharp sting in my chest at his words. What I'd done for him. As if that's all it was. As if I was just some sort of fixer in his life. Some tool for him to use and discard when he was done. My mouth went dry, and I had to fight to keep my voice steady. You know, I don't really care about what Sophie understands, Luke. I never did any of this for her. I glanced at Sophie, whose lips tightened but stayed silent. I did it for you, and for 15 years, I gave everything I had to make sure you'd be okay. So don't tell me you didn't want this to happen. You made this happen. You let her make this happen. Luke shifted uncomfortably on the couch, his fingers fidgeting with the hem of his sleeve. "I didn't mean to hurt you, Emma. You didn't mean to hurt me." I interrupted, my voice rising despite myself. "You didn't mean to hurt me? What do you think it feels like to find out your own brother got married and you didn't even get an invite? What do you think it feels like when you've been there for someone every single day of their life, only for them to throw you away when they get what they want?" I was shaking now, but not from anger. It was the quiet ache of betrayal, the kind of ache that settled deep in your bones, unshakable. I didn't know how to handle it," Luke said, his voice weak. "I didn't know how to tell you without making it worse. I'm sorry, I didn't think." "You didn't think?" I repeated bitterly, pacing a few steps. "You didn't think, but I did. For 15 years, I did. I thought about you. I thought about your future. I thought about what was best for you. And look where we are now. You don't think about anything but yourself, Luke, and Sophie, and whatever you need to make yourselves feel better. I'm just the person who pays for it all." There was a long silence, the kind that stretched on too long, until you weren't sure if you were waiting for the other person to speak or for them to just disappear altogether. I was done waiting. I took a deep breath, holding it in for a second before letting it out slowly. "I'm not doing this anymore, Luke. You want your freedom? You've got it. All of it. But I'm not paying for it anymore." I pulled out my phone, scrolling to the list of all the accounts, all the things I had set up for him, everything from the loft to utilities to the travel fund I had spent years building up for him. Without another word, I started deleting, canceling, transferring. I didn't need any explanation from Luke anymore. I didn't need his guilt, his sorry excuses. I had given him everything I could give, and now it was time for me to take it all back. Sophie, who had been standing silently in the background, suddenly moved closer. "What are you doing?" she asked, her voice a mix of confusion and disbelief. "I'm freeing myself," I said quietly, without even looking up from the phone. I clicked withdraw, and within seconds, I saw the confirmation. The travel fund, gone. The email confirming it hit my inbox almost immediately. Sophie opened her mouth to say something, but I held up a hand. "Don't." I turned back to Luke. "The loft's gone too. I've already started the process of selling it. You can find somewhere else to live." Luke's face fell, and I saw the hurt and shock in his eyes, the same look I had worn just days ago when I saw the wedding photos. Only this time, I wasn't the one who was broken. He was. "I'm sorry, Emma," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "I didn't mean for it to get this far. Don't bother apologizing now, I said coldly. You made your choices and now I'm making mine. Sophie, who had been standing in silence, finally spoke up, her tone sharp. You're taking everything from him. Is this how you repay him for everything he did for you? I turned to her, meeting her gaze with quiet resolve. I didn't ask for repayment. I didn't ask for anything but respect. And in case you didn't notice, Sophie, I'm not the one who started this. Your independence cost Luke everything. But he doesn't need me anymore. He made sure of that. With that, I turned and walked out, leaving them standing in that empty loft with nothing left between us but the cold echo of what had once been. When I got home, I sat down in front of my computer. The glow of the screen illuminated the stillness around me. There was no weight on my shoulders, no sense of impending doom. For the first time in a long while, I felt the quiet strength of knowing that I had done the right thing. I had taken back control. I had built something for myself. 2 days passed, and I didn't hear from Luke. I didn't expect to. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I wasn't worried about fixing things. I was free. Weeks went by and life didn't fall apart like I thought it would. I took a promotion at work. I moved into a smaller apartment that actually felt like mine. I spent weekends hiking, cooking for myself, and doing things I had put off for years. Then one afternoon, my phone rang, and I almost let it go to voicemail. But something inside me told me to pick up. It was Luke. His voice was broken, cracking with emotion. Emma, I messed up. Everything's falling apart. Can I stay with you until I get back on my feet? I didn't say anything for a second. I just breathed in, steady and clear. No, I said calmly. You wanted independence. Live it. Then I hung up and blocked his number before I could see the typing bubbles. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel victorious. I felt steady, the way a door feels when it finally clicks shut after hanging crooked for years. My life is smaller now, but it's clean. I wake up without that quiet dread of who might need saving next. I cook for one, hike on weekends, and fill my home with things I actually chose for myself. Cutting him off wasn't revenge, it was survival. If you've ever had to draw a hard boundary with family, you're not alone. Tell me where you're listening from and what you would have done in my place. And if this story stayed with you, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Like the video, share it with your friends, and drop a comment with your perspective or what lesson you learned.